So last week I talked about one of my favorite books, the one that got me through film school, and it's Rebel Without a Crew by Robert Rodriguez. And I mentioned that one of the things that I want to do with these videos and the Substack or YouTube or wherever you're finding me is have my own version of that, have my own journal letting you know everything that is happening with Pesto Comics, this whole concept of getting comics out into the world from the ground up. We started with a one-shot on Kickstarter in 2023 with Unlimited Udo. Now we're in stores. And we keep trying to expand that. And one thing that I'm really trying to grasp now, really trying to get my hands around, is pacing. I have 3 tracks of projects right now, and I quickly realized it's not going to be one single thing that blows it up, like a missed deadline or bad launch. It's going to be me. So today, I want to give you the full picture. I want to let you know exactly what's going on with Pesto Comics, the 3 tracks that I'm running, and how I plan to manage them all without letting it all fall apart. So track 1 is Kickstarter. I can already feel the pressure of this starting to mount a little bit. As I'm just about to finish the fulfillment for Big Smoke Pulp Volume 2, that is behind. I was really hoping on having those books out in the world by now, but I was using a new platform with Book Vault and making sure that fulfillment can be done by Book Vault, but I had to learn that whole system, and I didn't anticipate that it would take me this long to really figure it all out and iron out all the kinks. We're finally there. So my goal is to get all the addresses and everything I need this week, get those books out. And then immediately I need to start working on Snip and fulfilling that. So with Snip, the big thing that held me up was lettering. It's something I've been doing with all my comics this whole time. However, I think this is finally time that I need to now hand this piece of work off. So I'm working with a letter, we're finalizing the details, and going forward, starting with Naked Kaiju Woman number 3, which if you haven't followed, please do so. You can do that at bit.ly/NKW3. Not going to be lettered by me. We're going to get a very highly skilled professional letterer to do that. But one thing that I've learned with Snip is although my skills have gone up quite a bit and I've gotten a lot better at lettering over time, I don't have that speed that a professional can have while maintaining the quality. And that's the biggest thing. I feel like the lettering I'm doing on Snip is the best that I have ever done. However, it's taking me quite a while. And if I could get somebody who can do better, or at least the same, and do it in much less time, and it'll cost a little bit, but it's not enough to break the bank, well worth the investment. So that's what I'm doing to keep that track going and making sure that comics on Kickstarter make it out on time. The second track, that's the direct market version of From Parts Unknown. You'll see that the cover's a little different, and the reason for that is I actually hired out a production designer. So we got Travis Escafulary on board. He's going to be doing production design on all of our comics. He's going to do the letters pages, and please, if you're listening, send me a letter, letters@pestocomics.com, and let me know how you like the book and how you like all of Pesto Comics. I'd love to get some letters published. But with all that said, I learned the lesson very early on to get some help when it comes to getting these things together, because the direct market is a whole nother kettle of fish. It's dealing with large scale printing and making sure that books make it to distributors on time and making sure that the files are at the level that are required for offset printing. You get a little bit of leeway with digital where you can just send flat files. Offset is a little different, and you don't want the printing to get messed up, and having a production designer that understands all that and knows all that and have them deal with it, load off my shoulders. I can focus on writing, which is the big thing that is very important to make sure all of this keeps flowing, because I do have a big goal for the direct market, and that's something I'll talk about in a minute. But in order for any of that to happen, I need to make sure that this track keeps going, and the only way I'm going to do that is getting some help. So I mentioned my biggest priority is writing, and it's not just writing comics, but writing comics is the main thing, is making sure that the comics exist and I can get them written and up to the standard that I want, and working with people beforehand to make sure the story makes sense and it's where I want it to get to. But getting all that writing done, very important, very critical. But when we're talking about the types of projects that I'm trying to get out there, comics are great. I love comics. They're my number one. However, if I'm going to make this a sustainable business, I can't do just comics. Every time we put a comic together, it's a group effort. And that's what I love about comics, is that we all bring our strengths to the project and come up with something totally unique, something that wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for that specific team that's assembled. So I love comics, and I'm always going to be doing that. However, I'm a writer, and I would love to get my writing out there as well. So I've mentioned in the past, I'm working on a project. It's called Backlot Babylon. That's the first book in a very long series of novellas that I have planned. The goal is to make them as fun, as pulpy, as just straight up enjoyable as the comics are. I want people who don't necessarily read all the time to be able to pick these books up and really enjoy them. My original plan was to have these first 3 books released last year, I'm still tinkering, I'm still rewriting, I'm still working on them. And this is 3 of many. I have many planned, and I'm still trying to figure out what the best way to get them out is. So that's something I'm trying to prepare for by having as much written ahead of time as possible. And that is another track. So 3 tracks, 3 different things. And then I'm not talking about the bonus stuff track, which is a trading card game with Dane and Hennessy of Dice and Development. So I'm always working on something, and I'm trying to figure out how to keep all these going. It's something I've brought up many, many times on the Substack and on the YouTube and all that. And it's something that I'm going to continue to deal with going forward. But I just wanted to let you know how I'm breaking things up in my head. So Kickstarter, direct market, and then the novellas. And that feels like a whole different thing. So what's the biggest thing on my mind right now, and something that I'm really rethinking and taking a step back and trying to breathe about? It's getting 2 books out at a time in 2027. That is a goal I set for myself for the direct market. And right now, I'm actually finding that there's a bit of a gap in 2027. I had plans straight through to 2028. However, it looks like one of the projects that I was planning for mid 2027 isn't going to be delivered in the timeline that I hope. There's a number of reasons for that. I won't get into it. But I'm a little worried now because now there's suddenly a gap. So in a year that I was supposed to have 2 books on the shelves at the time, I have about 3-4 months where I might have no books on the shelves, and that cannot stand. That is something that must be addressed and corrected. So I'm working on that. And it had me thinking. And it's something that actually I was talking with JP, our colorist, about through email. JP is, again, the hype man of all hype mans. Excellent colorist. If you look at the interiors of From Parts Unknown, if you look at any of the books that we're doing, JP has a huge hand in it, in the colors that he does. He makes some choices that I never would have made, and in the best way possible. So not only is JP an excellent colorist, but he's a veteran of the comic book industry. And he gave me some very poignant and sound advice, which is breathe, relax. Maybe 2 books is a goal that you can go for, but focus on making sure that the company is stable and making sure that the release slate is something that's manageable. The worst thing to do is to try to get too big for your britches, right? You don't want to have too much out there, too much planned, too many artists working on things that you start falling behind and people aren't getting scripts, and some of the things that I'm experiencing now, and we haven't even really gotten started. And that only gets worse the more that you add to your plate. So his point was, don't overstress yourself with trying to hit 2 a month. Make sure that 1 a month is solid. I thought we were there. Clearly we weren't. And until I have those books in hand, I won't feel that way. So this is something that I'm going to really focus on, is making sure that artists are working, they have everything they need. In my case, that's scripts and payment, right? And making sure that everybody's going and we can rely on these books coming in. So until we're there, I think I'm not going to worry about getting those 2 books a month out into the direct market. I'm going to worry about making sure that everybody is on task for the books that I say through these months, you can expect them. I'm comfortable to say that with From Parts Unknown, you can expect it through September. I'm also comfortable to say that with Snip, that's coming out right after. So From Parts Unknown will end in September. And then the next month, the same week of the month that you would expect From Parts Unknown, you'll see Snip on the shelves. And that'll take us through to January. So we have books at least until the beginning of 2027. And then, of course, following that, we have Daniel and JP's next series along with me is Crimson Frontier. However, I need to get those scripts in Daniel's hands. And that gets us through the winter of 2027. And then we hit that gap. So when I thought we had not enough space to release all of the things that we wanted to release, I seem to already have a gap there. So now I'm focused on track 2 and making sure that 2027 is secure. And then, of course, track 1 beckons as we have Naked Kaiju Woman number 3 planned in the next couple of weeks. I'm just waiting for the last handful of pages from Raphael. I won't hit launch until I get those pages. But I'm also waiting on a really cool variant cover from an artist to make sure that that gets included in the whole campaign. So we're not quite ready. I was really hoping to hit launch sometime this week, but let's do it properly. I want to make sure that I have everything so that when the campaign ends, I can just send books out, right? I hate being behind because I want to be able to make sure that everybody has what they need, including readers. And you guys have the books that you paid for, and then we can proceed with the next thing. And that means that my whole plan with Backlot Babylon and that whole series that's coming out maybe takes a little bit longer to get out there. Because again, once I get that train rolling on the 3rd track, I can't let it stop. So I have a bit of an advantage now where I can wait. I can hold off on that 3rd track and only launch when it's ready and make sure that I can sustain that volume throughout. And like I said, a lot of that handing work off to other people, making sure that I time things in the right way. So it's a lot to manage, a lot to think about. But having this method of thinking about things that, okay, that train's rolling. Now I can focus on the next one. That train's rolling. I can focus on this one. That one's at the station. Let's go back. It really does help in keeping everything afloat, even when things feel overwhelming. It's almost like I'm running 3 separate businesses, but knowing that I can get one going and then start on the next one really does help manage that. So I keep saying track 1 is the pain point right now, knowing that I have to deliver books that are overdue to backers. And then track 2 is, just sustaining what's out there. So the FOC for issue 3 is already out there. We haven't even hit the FOC for issue 2. I'm on page 776. And you can see all the stuff coming out from Prana, and we got 1 book. And I'd really hope to increase that. But right now, just knowing that these books are getting out on the time they have to get out, I'm happy. We're also working on a special cover from Parts Unknown number 5. That's just a secret between you and anybody who managed to watch this long. But that's happening while all the Kickstarter stuff is happening. So I mentioned we hold back on track 3, but that becomes a bit of a trap. Because now I know that I can keep pushing that and pushing that and pushing that. And I already said I wanted to have these books released last year. But now I do a draft and I sit on it and I don't look at it. And when I have to go back and work on it again, it's almost like somebody else wrote it. And I almost have to start over. I don't get to stay in that mindset of writing these books and writing the main character of Leo Lucas and getting in that headspace and trying to have this book be a coherent story throughout. It's tough when I step away and then I forget about it because I'm focused on track 1 and track 2 all the time. So it is something that I'm trying to make sure that I at least get that train rolling, that I put some kind of deadline and get thinking about it so that that's not something that I step away from too long and maybe forget entirely. Momentum is the most important thing with all of this. So making sure that all 3 are going at the same time is key. And of course, there's the fact that I still have a day job. I'm not doing this full time. So having these 3 things going is demanding enough. Having a regular job that I have to check into, and it's an important job. I got a lot of people depending on me there. Right now, it's almost second nature. I've been doing it for almost 20 years. So it's something I'm very comfortable with and can do with my eyes closed. However, it still takes time. It's still something I have to be present for and attendant for. Doing all of this while that is also happening, that's just a time crunch at this point, where I could spend time lettering all day if that was the only thing I had to do. However, I have my day job and then I have these tracks that I have to keep going. So that means handing some stuff off, deciding as we grow, there are some things I'm not going to be able to do myself, even though I'm a little bit of a control freak. And even though I have very specific ideas in mind of how I want things to look and how I want it to read, sometimes it's worth handing off. And frankly, there are people who can do it better than me. So a letter is coming in. A production designer is here. As always, we have excellent artists coming in. And it's thanks to all of that this is capable of happening. I always talk about how I got 4 projects that are on the go, and then I have 4 that I'm kind of working on. That 4 in the background that I'm kind of working on and kind of planning keeps growing. So at some point, all the holes that I'm talking about in the release schedule will definitely be plugged, and we should be able to hit 2 books, no problem. But one thing I'm really trying to learn is to pace myself and to make sure that, yes, all 3 tracks need to be moving, but they don't all need to be going full tilt. There are ways to slow one down while speeding up the other and making sure that everyone gets where they need to go on time, but it doesn't all need to be 100% of the time. So it's something I'm really managing, something I'm really trying to get on top of. And hopefully, if it all goes well, everybody gets what they need and more. So with that, I want to thank you for being here. A little bit of a ramble this week, but I just wanted to let you know where my headspace is. Again, because it's something I'm really trying to juggle. And it's something I'm really trying to wrap my head around is all of the work that we're doing here and all of the different teams and the different types of things and different expectations I have from each platform and from each vendor and from each artist and all of these things. And I'm really trying to stay on top of it and to keep myself sane a little bit, mostly. I don't know. Depends on how you're feeling listening to me. But I hope this helps. I hope this maybe helps you if you are at a stage where now you have to start thinking about, okay, I have this unit of work and now I have to do this too. And maybe thinking about it in tracks and having multiple trains moving at the same time is a metaphor that works for you. Or maybe you think it's all silly and you hate it. Either way, let me know in the comments. I'd love to talk with all of you. And again, maybe you want to talk in the comments, but maybe you want to get your name published in a book. Make sure you write me. letters@pestocomics.com. We have a letters page in the back of From Parts Unknown. We have a letters page in the back of Snip. It's something that I'm going to keep doing as long as I keep getting letters. So make sure that you write me. And I want you guys to write me because you guys know me. You've been here on the YouTube and on the Substack and all that. So I love your comments on those platforms, but I'd also love to have something printable and share a bit of the wealth and get your name out there. So please, letters@pestocomics.com. And if you're shy, that's cool too. Drop a like just so that more people can find everything Pesto Comics is doing and we can keep growing this. And I could keep stressing myself out with all the extra work that's coming in. But again, I'm happy to share the wealth and get more people working and get more amazing artists out there that you wouldn't have found otherwise. So I really hope you enjoy everything we're doing. Lots more to come. Thanks for this. We'll talk again next week.